June, the Athletics' first transfer deal sheet has dropped, and Simon Johnson is working overtime with the amount of Chelsea-related transfer news that there is. Several Spanish clubs are interested in Marc Cucurella, with Chelsea not supposedly wanting to sell, but will if they have to. New manager Xabi Alonso has labelled Josh Acheampong untouchable. Chelsea reportedly have 10 names on their transfer-in wish list containing Morgan Rogers. Several clubs apparently keen on Romeo Lavia, but Chelsea not looking to sell. Tosin Adarabioyo is supposedly valued for his leadership skills and is not immediately on the list of players that Chelsea are looking to ship out either, alongside Marc Guiu, who Chelsea are not looking to sell but would be willing to look for a loan move for. Jose Mourinho has asked Real Madrid for a creative midfielder, and is that the okay for them to go for Enzo Fernandez? According to reports, free agent Ibrahima Konate, formerly of Liverpool, is also supposedly being looked at. Andrey Santos is also not considered untouchable. Chelsea are not looking to sell him, but they'll make that decision later in the window. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sink, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And boy howdy, there is a lot of stuff to get through today, man, so let's not waste any time and dive right in. So first up, we're going to talk about Cucurella. Pice posted a lot of these, by the way. Breaking: Marc Cucurella keen to explore a move away from Chelsea with multiple clubs interested. Alonso wants to keep but is aware of the player desire. So, Marc Cucurella was always going to be a tricky one because he's only got 2 years left on his deal. I personally would be devastated to see Marc Cucurella go, but Yoro Hato has been performing really well, albeit in a centre-back role recently. There are other left-backs on the market. We're bringing in Valentin Barco, who can play in that position as well. For me, it's the character and the versatility and the doggedness. Like, I just think he's an absolutely phenomenal player when he's performing well under the right manager. We've seen twice in his career at Chelsea now already. First, when we brought him in, didn't play very well for Graham Potter, and more recently under Liam Rosenior, kind of dropped the ball figuratively as well. For me personally, I'd absolutely love to keep Marc Cucurella, but like I said, with 2 years on his deal, it is really difficult. And at the end of the day, if he wants to agitate for a move, we either sell him now or he signs a new deal. There are no conversations at the moment about Marc Cucurella signing a new deal, so it is all going to come down to, I imagine, whether the clubs we're about to get into can afford to take him. So pertaining to Marc Cucurella, Pice also posted this: Chelsea do have money to spend this summer, but finances are impacted with no Europe, and a sale of Cucurella could help generate funds to put in the transfer kitty. CFC, though, not actively looking to sell him. So this is, it's a balancing act at the end of the day now, isn't it? Like, I never thought we were going to en masse look to sell all of our best players, but Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez, ever since that international break where they both came out and spoke in the press, you know, Enzo Fernandez obviously really wants to move to Real Madrid. We'll get onto him a little bit later, but Marc Cucurella, you can imagine, is also looking for, you know, he won the Euros. He's a really, really highly sought after player, and he is closer to being in the driving seat, like I said, because of the 2 year deal. So at the end of the day, Marc Cucurella's value will be high. We'll get, you know, we paid 60 million for him, even with 2 years left on his deal, just based on what he's accomplished since then. I imagine we probably get the same. He'd represent a significant profit, and unfortunately, in a time that we need to go out and buy new players, that can't be sniffed at. But we're not looking to sell him, right? It is kind of going to be down to Marc Cucurella and the clubs that are coming in for him, and let's get onto that right now. So, Pice posted this via The Athletic: the Marc Cucurella situation. Deco has been in touch with his camp, but it depends on a Barcelona defender leaving. They are open to selling Koundé or Balde. So Balde is an interesting one because he's a left back as well, so, you know, potentially there might be some sort of swap deal to be done in there. Barcelona, they kind of have to generally be, although they have just won the league, they need to generally be a sell to buy club, and they've had lots of financial issues in the last couple of years, but they are kind of going for it this window, right? 70 mil on Anthony Gordon. They are talking to Julian Alvarez, although Atletico Madrid have come out and said absolutely not. So the Barcelona thing makes sense because he was a La Masia graduate as well. He did come from, do you know what I mean? He's a Barcelona kid, which kind of explains why he's so silky on the ball. Atletico do not have to wait on sales and have been in touch. So this is an interesting one. Atletico was the first big report that came out about a team being interested in Marc Cucurella, and you can imagine with his dogged personality, you could see him fitting in quite well in a Diego Simeone team. And then, this one is kind of new, Real Madrid appreciate Cucurella, but unclear if they'll make a move. So yeah, not so sure about that one. They've got, what is it, Ferland Mendy? Is it Ferland Mendy they've got, who's been a really good left back for them, but at the end of the day, Marc Cucurella on his day, which hasn't been a lot recently, is up there with the best left backs in the world. So he upgrades the majority of teams across the world's left back position. The Real Madrid one, I'd be surprised. but we're going to get into a little bit later. It sounds like they want a creative midfielder. Barcelona, I could see because of the ex-Barcelona links, and everyone wants to go and play for the league winners, don't they? And Atletico Madrid also doesn't feel unlikely based on the character of the player, the profile of the player. I do think he'd fit in really well in a Atletico Madrid team. That's the thing about Cucurella. He'd kind of fit in well in every team, because you can ask him to play left back, you can ask him to play left wing back, you can ask him to go into the midfield, you can ask him to play a left centre back position. He's so incredibly versatile, and he plays every position that he plays really, really well. It's generally the reason that I don't want to lose him, and you could imagine Xabi Alonso also doesn't want to lose him. But it will be what it will be. Like I say, the 2-year deal element is really the important one here. So guys, let me know what you think about Marc Cucurella in the comments. And guys, if you've made it this far into today's episode of the Stamford Sync, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. So let's move on. Chelsea Dodgers reposted this via Simon Johnson. Chelsea intend to buy a minimum of 2 ready-made players who are able to go straight into the first 11. With no Europe, they don't want too many additions. They are looking to add just 1 centre-back as things stand, and also want a flexible attacker who can play in multiple positions. So 1 centre-back actually sounds a little bit concerning when you consider how bad our centre-back situation has been. Last season in particular, 9 different centre-back partnerships. Like, we just keep chopping and changing, but largely that was based on the fact that Levi Colwill wasn't available. I think just getting 1 centre-back is a little bit of a worry, because that is then you're putting all of that pressure on Levi Colwill to remain fit and to have 0 issues with it, reoccurring from his injury, which was obviously an ACL, which is a really difficult one. So a little bit worrying there, but we're going to get into some of the other news. There are some other positives and a slight negative about the centre-back situation, which kind of makes it make more sense. And yeah, versatile attacker, I mean, it needs to be someone, I guess, who plays on the left wing and can play in centre of attack, right? Because we need left-sided players. Whatever formation we play, we absolutely have to upgrade our left side, like it's so important. But also we need someone who can challenge Cole Palmer for that spot, because Cole Palmer, I don't know, man, it's one of those, isn't it? Like, I'm hoping that Xabi Alonso just comes in and turns him into an absolute beast. But at the same time, competition is so important for young players, and Cole Palmer needs to not feel like he's just gotten in regardless of whether he plays well or not. I felt the same about Nicholas Jackson initially as well. I guess if we are looking to keep Nicholas Jackson, then maybe that makes more sense as to why we're not looking for more attackers, because he's a versatile attacker himself. But yeah, guys, let me know if we only got 2 first-team additions. I mean, that almost instantly says the goalkeeper situation is set now. That's probably going to be Robert Sanchez and Mike Penders. But let me know what you think about it. If we only got 2 starting 11 players in the summer, do you think that would be enough for us to get back into the Champions League next season? Right, so really interesting one now. Pice posted this via Fabrizio Romano. Breaking: Josh Acheampong will be staying at Chelsea. First decision made by Xabi Alonso and Chelsea together, seen as untouchable. That, hopefully, is really, really good news. Now, the concern I've got with Josh Acheampong is game time, right? Like, I'm worried that he doesn't get, like, he needs to be starting games. He needs to be playing a lot of games in order to get better quickly, right? That's just kind of how it feels at the moment. What he's got in his locker, fortunately, is he can play centre-back, he can play left or right centre-back in a back 3, maybe the middle spot, I'm not sure about that yet, and that depends largely on the difference between Xabi Alonso's back 3 and Enzo Maresca's back 3. Also, he can play at right wing-back, although I don't necessarily see that as being his best position. Ultimately, if Xabi Alonso was coming and said, don't let him go anywhere, then he's going to get game time, because it's been wild. Under Maresca and Liam Rosenior, Josh Acheampong just couldn't get enough starts, he couldn't get enough game time, he was not getting enough minutes. And it seems crazy when you think, like, at the beginning of the season in particular, Josh Acheampong played 3 brilliant games, one of which was against Liverpool, and he played really well in 3 games, and then just couldn't get back into the team. And we're throwing Tosin, and we're throwing Benoit Badiashile, we're bringing back Mamadou Sarr from Strasbourg, and Josh Acheampong is literally sat there waiting for minutes. So really interesting that this is the first decision that Xabi Alonso and Chelsea have made together. I can only imagine that means he's going to get a bigger role in the team. And he has to, doesn't he? Because 16 appearances last season, not all of those were starts. I think it was like 9 appearances the season before. It's just not enough, and he's going to start to get itchy. So PY has posted this via Ben Jacobs. Josh Acheampong is appreciated by Manchester United, Manchester City and Bayern Munich, considered untouchable and important part of Alonso's plans. So, and this in itself, like, Josh Acheampong, academy graduate, free money at the end of the day. If someone comes comes in with 20, 25 mil or something for Josh Acheampong. Seems like nothing for him, but at the end of the day, that's that much straight on the books. The Man City thing I don't really buy because Maresca had him for a season and a half and barely played him. Bayern Munich love buying young Englishmen, and you would have thought that he might maybe not go straight into the first team, but he'd probably be more likely to be a rotation option there, more so than he has been at Chelsea so far. Manchester United, I'd hate to see that. Selling Josh Acheampong to Manchester United would be absolutely awful, but Again, it's just been reaffirmed here, considered untouchable, an important part of Alonso's plans. So, like I say, what I hope that means personally is we're going to start seeing a lot more of Josh Acheampong, and that is one of the reasons why only going in for one set in the back might be okay. If Josh Acheampong plays the same kind of role that a combined Tosin Adarabioyo and Benoit Badiashile have been playing, he'll get enough minutes. You know, he can make 20, 30 appearances throughout the season in all competitions, and that's not necessarily all starts, but he's definitely looking to get a lot more game time than he has done previously. So guys, let me know what you think about that. I hope it means we're going to start seeing Josh get into the team a lot more often. I'm still concerned if he doesn't get enough game time, he's going to get twitchy and then he's going to start agitating for a move away. I don't think it's going to take a huge bid next summer or even in January, depending on what goes on, in order for us to sell him, because he'd be a pure profit sale, and we know how much Blueco love a pure profit sale. But I'm excited about the concept of him becoming a bigger part of the first team. Let me know what you think. So another interesting one, Chelsea Dodgers reposted this via Simon Johnson. Chelsea have at least 10 names on their wish list. One of them is Morgan Rogers. I've been shouting this for since last summer, I guess, because that's as long as I've been a YouTuber for. But I really like Morgan Rogers personally. I know a lot of you guys aren't really keen, but for me it works in two ways, right? Because if we play the three at the back with the two half space, I think he fits that left side really, really well and could play really well with Cole Palmer. If we stick with the four at the back, then he can play left wing, although he's not really a winger. He definitely drifts in field, and depending on the left back that you've got, you can go up and cover that space, you keep your width. But for me, he could be the perfect player to challenge Cole Palmer for that number 10 spot, and either they get the best out of each other or one of them wins. Do you know what I mean? And it would be, I guess, disappointing if we spent a load of money on Morgan Rogers and he ends up making Cole Palmer brilliant and struggles to get into the team. But either way, I really like the look of this one. Aston Villa are going to have to sell. They're still in trouble with UEFA, and they've gotten into European competition again next season. So the one benefit that no one is talking about, by the way, of Chelsea not getting into Europe is next season we are now not held accountable by Europe's financial cost model, right? So the new rules in the Premier League allow you to spend up to 85% of your club's revenue on players. When you're in Europe, that's only 75%. So we haven't got to worry about that kind of thing now. We've got the 85%, albeit we won't get as much money for not being in Europe, but Aston Villa are still going to be held accountable to that same squad cost ratio, and that means chances are if they want to bring new players in, they're going to have to shift some. Morgan Rogers is easily going to be their most profitable asset by far. I would love to see him in the Chelsea team. Let me know what you think in the comments. Right, Pies posted this via Simon Johnson and The Athletic. Clubs are keen on Romeo Lavia, but Chelsea want to keep him as things stand. I've had a couple of really interesting conversations. I did a video with two guys, Kai from Behind the Dugouts and Mason from Blues and Stripes the other day. It was an in-out thing where I got them both to choose 5 players they want to sell and 5 players they want to replace them with. Both of them said Romeo Lavia out. And what we all agree with is Romeo Lavia, phenomenal player when he can play, but he hasn't managed 90 minutes for Chelsea yet. If that was just like one season or whatever, it'd be like, okay, but it's 3 seasons in a row now. The injury issues are obviously really prevalent as well. It's a bit worrying that he gets different injuries every single time. We're not talking about reoccurrences of the same injuries here. Like Reece James, it was the hamstring injury. Cole Palmer, it was the groin injury, right? Romeo Lavia gets a different injury every time and it always keeps him out for ages. He has been back playing for the back end of the season and supposedly Chelsea want to keep him as things stand now. From Xabi Alonso's perspective, I can 100% see why this is the case. In Xabi Alonso's teams, he likes a deep-lying distributor. And that's exactly what Romeo Lavia is. He is a deep-lying distributor. He's not the Caicedo type of midfielder. He's a line-splitting pass kind of guy, connects the play together really, really well. And for me personally, I always thought when Romeo Lavia plays on his day and is fit, our midfield looks like it ticks better with Caicedo handling all of the cleanup and Romeo Lavia distributing passes from deep. I can really, really see, based on Xabi Alonso's previous teams, with the likes of Granit Xhaka in there doing a very similar job, I can see him liking Romeo Lavia for that role. They will know more about how his injury thing seems to be going than we do, and I don't necessarily expect him to just get into the first team. I actually have a feeling that Reece James might end up playing a lot more there as well, but there's still so many questions because of formations and signings and this, that and the other. But either way, supposedly Chelsea want to keep hold of Romeo Lavia, and even with all of his injury worries, lots of teams are interested in him. So I think that one's really interesting. Let me know what you think. Right, next one. Post posted this via Simon Johnson in The Athletic. Just in, Tosin Adarabioyo is valued for his leadership and has not been told to look for a new club yet. Chelsea, with no Europe, don't want to make too many signings and only plan to add one centre-back, a starter, as things stand. So let's just try to put our reasonable hats on at the moment. Would I be happy to keep Tosin Adarabioyo in the squad? If we can get rid of Benoit Badiashile, Axel Disasi, Wesley Fofana, who isn't in any of these yet, then you all of a sudden you are starting to look quite light in centre-back, aren't you? The thing with Tosin is he was a free transfer, so if you sell him, that's pure profit on the books. But at the same time, he is also the oldest player in the squad. And at this point, I guess the experience, the age is quite important. I don't think this means that Tosin is just going to storm into the first team. We are looking for a new centre-back, and you would have thought that means whoever we get is going to be the guy that comes into the team that will partner Levi Colwill. But I guess realistically, you can't actually just sell everyone, can you? I do expect Benoit Badiashile to be sold. I do expect Axel Disasi to be sold. Potentially, I do expect Wesley Fofana to be sold as well. And if Tosin is the only one that we keep, I guess if I could have chosen any of them to keep, Tosin probably would have been the one. The leadership qualities is really important, not necessarily just on the pitch, but in the training room as well. He is really popular. They love their Uncle Tosin at the end of the day. And the truth of the fact is, I know a lot of Chelsea fans want to see us sell 15 players and bring 10 new ones in. It's that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So we are going to keep some of these players. Like I say, there's loads of centre-backs that we can shift out. And you've got to think as well, if we shift out Benoit Badiashile, we shift out Axel Disasi, we shift out Wesley Fofana, that still leaves us with Levi Colwill, Josh Acheampong, Mamadou Sarr, Tosin Adarabioyo, and potentially one other new centre-back. So we could still have 5-6 centre-backs on the books, even if we keep Tosin Adarabioyo, which I guess we're not going to have as many competitions, but injuries are always going to be a thing, and you've got to be careful. And sometimes, Josh Acheampong might play at right back if we're playing at a back four and stuff like that. So it does make sense, I guess, if we were to keep any of them, Tosin Adarabioyo is probably the one to keep, largely based on their age, the leadership qualities, and the fact that he can do a job as long as he's not relied on too heavily. So, bit of a weird one here. Personally, I would rather just get them all out and bring a couple of new centre-backs in. But if that is not what Chelsea are looking to do, I guess Tosin is the best of a bad bunch. Right, next up, mate, there is so much news to get through today. It's absolutely wild. Chelsea Dodgers reposted this via Simon Johnson Sport. A permanent transfer has not been ruled out for Marc Guiu, but Chelsea's preference is for a loan right now. So I just have a feeling that he's going to get sold, if I'm completely honest, because of the value of it, right? If someone comes in with 25 mil or something like that for Marc Guiu, we bought him for 5 mil a couple of seasons ago. He's basically got zero book value. Not complete zero, but he's basically got zero book value. And that, again, is almost a pure profit sale at that point, isn't it? I do like Marc Guiu, but there's no room for him in the squad at the moment, one way or the other. A Strasbourg loan, if bearing in mind we're bringing in Emmanuel Omega from Strasbourg, maybe Marc Guiu to Strasbourg is a shout. I guess he's more similar to Joaquin Panicelli than he is to Emmanuel Omega, so maybe he kind of fits in over there. Maybe Gary O'Neill could do so. I don't even like Gary O'Neill, to be honest. But either way, a loan for Marc Guiu, I would actually be more happy if Marc Guiu got loaned out, because he does look like there's a player in there. He just hasn't got enough game time and he hasn't been able to prove it yet. But there's a lot of pressure at Chelsea, right? He needs to go. A Premier League loan would be great, actually. If he could go to a Coventry or a Hull or something, maybe that's ideal. Or an Ipswich. Or it depends on what happens with Liam Delap though as well, doesn't it? Because Liam Delap is probably going to get sold, I think. It depends. So another piece of news that I haven't actually got in here is that it looks like it's going to be between Nicholas Jackson and Liam Delap as to who gets sold. You'd have to imagine, just by the nature of his previous Premier League kind of outings and experience, Nicholas Jackson, much better player, is going to fit our team better than Liam Delap. So I'm starting to expect Liam Delap to be sold, but that is by the by. Marc Guiu, they will sell him if that's the only option, because at the end of the day, he needs to not be in the squad next season. He needs to go and get some game time one way or another. They would rather loan him to see, and that again completely makes sense, because of how valuable he is as an asset. If he goes and has a half-decent season anywhere, one or two things can happen. He can fight his way back into the team next season, or he gets sold for a lot of money because we bought him for so cheap. And like I say, he's almost a pure profit sale already. So if he goes out and has a half-decent loan spell somewhere, then he could become a really attractive proposition. He is still very young. Right, next up, Pice posted this via Mario Cortegana of The Athletic. I've not heard this name before, but it is via The Athletic. Jose Mourinho has asked Real Madrid to sign a creative midfielder this summer window. Could this be the start of a potential Enzo move? I'm not going to lie to you. For some reason, Enzo and Jose Mourinho, I get it. In my head, I think that is something that will work really well. You think about Enzo Fernandez's kind of character and personality, and he's a bit of a brute, but he is also silky and, great pass, can score goals, likes to arrive late in the box, like someone else that we know that Jose Mourinho was really fond of. I see Enzo Fernandez being the number 10 at Real Madrid, if I'm completely honest. I know Jude Bellingham plays there a lot at the moment, but I think that Enzo Fernandez, I just think Jose Mourinho will absolutely love him, to be completely honest. Like, if you remember when Jose Mourinho came back for his second stint, we had Juan Mata at the time, who got like 35 assists in a season in all competitions, and it was absolutely ridiculous. He was a wizard. He was so good. Jose Mourinho comes in, we buy Oscar, and Juan Mata gets shafted for Oscar. And he got shafted for Oscar because Oscar was a more physical, dominant player, and he could press from the front as well as being able to score and being able to attack as well. Enzo Fernandez, not exactly a similar player to Oscar, but he has different qualities. He's not just focused on being an attacking player. He is like a good kind of presser, and he's not a fast runner or anything. But he can distribute, he can score goals, and he can be a bit of a brute as well. So I actually do see Enzo Fernandez and Jose Mourinho working really well together. And if he's the guy that Jose Mourinho wants, it's been a while, but Real Madrid spent 100 mil on Jude Bellingham, and I wouldn't be super surprised to see them come in and spend that kind of money on Enzo Fernandez as well. But the conversation that has been had a lot recently is about potentially players that Xabi Alonso would like to bring from Real Madrid. It won't be a swap deal, but an exchange of deals essentially could happen. Arda Güler, Tchouaméni, even Camavinga, Fede Valverde's been mentioned recently, and as much as I like him, I just don't think that will happen. But I do think the Enzo Fernandez to Real Madrid thing has legs with Jose Mourinho. I could just see it working. I can see Jose Mourinho really liking Enzo Fernandez. Let me know what you think. Right, Chelsea Dodgers posted this via Simon Johnson. Chelsea have made a gentle inquiry into Ibrahima Konate situation. Look, I just do not think this one is going to happen at all. And the reason for that is because of how much money he wants. Like, he wants serious money. Liverpool are letting him go because they have offered him a deal, and he is not happy with the level of the deal that he's been offered. It's a lot of money, and this is the thing, is I think he wants like 300k a week or something. That hasn't been talked about yet, but he's already on a pretty high wage right now, and he's leaving Liverpool because they won't give him the wage that he wants. Do I think Chelsea will give him that wage? Like, no, absolutely not. I think if you bring Ibrahima Konate in on 250, 300,000, I think he comes in, and I think your Cole Palmers and your Moises Caicedos, your João Pedros, they're all looking at this being like, hold on a second, we've all just taken a pay cut because we're not in the Champions League, and you're giving this guy 300k a week. Like, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it makes sense profile-wise, and that's probably why Chelsea have made a gentle inquiry as to whether he's going to be available or not. But at the same time, personally, I don't see it happening. Even though it's a free transfer, that takes up so much. We could get two players into the first team, two players into the first team on the same sort of wages that he'd be wanting. So for me, that doesn't make sense, albeit I like him as a player, and I think he would be an upgrade on some of the guys we've currently got in the squad, the likes of your Tosin, your Benoit Badiashile, your Wesley Fofana. But I just think it's too much money, and I don't think it's going to happen. Let me know what you think. Right, Chelsea Dodgers posted this via Simon Johnson Sport. Tyrique George is expected to be sold permanently. Now, this is actually counter to a news story that came out in the last week saying that Xabi Alonso was going to check him out and have a look at him. But this is just the kind of one that makes sense to me. Someone comes in, again, 20, 25 mil, something like that, and that's pure profit because he is an academy player. I do agree that I think he'd be an upgrade on Jamie Gittins and Alejandro Garnacho as it stands at the moment, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the level that we need, right? Because I think we'll sell Garnacho. I think we'll keep hold of Jamie Gittins because of how much we spent on him. But just because Tyrique George is a better option than those two, that doesn't mean it's the level that we need to go for. So I think it's just one of those, isn't it? Tyrique George, I like Tyrique George. He did not get nearly enough time playing on the wing, which is actually what he did. He is actually a winger. Didn't get that much game time at Everton either. So, you know, it's just one of those. I think that Tyrique George has got loads of potential. I can see clubs coming in for him and seeing, it's kind of a Callum Hudson-Odoi situation, isn't it? Although I expect us to get more for him than we got for Callum Hudson-Odoi. It's a pure profit thing. It's been mentioned a few times about Chelsea needing to sell players in order to get some money into the transfer kitty, and Tyrique George is just going to be a sacrifice of that. I don't think Xabi Alonso looks at Tyrique George and goes like, this is the guy. You know, there's links to Rafa Leao, there's links to Morgan Rogers. These are the kind of level of players we need to upgrade the attack of our first team instantly. Tyrique George is not that. Tyrique George is not so much better than Jamie Gittins that it's like bring him in, or he's not so much better than Garnacho that it's just like bring him in. I do think that he's got more potential. He probably would be an upgrade, but like I say, for me, it's not about is he better than what we've currently got. It's about is he the level that we need to upgrade that side of the pitch. And the last story of today's absolutely massive transfer haul is about Andrey Santos. Chelsea Dodgers reposted this again via Simon Johnson. Man has been on fire with this Athletic deal sheet. Andrey Santos is not considered to be untouchable, but that does not mean Chelsea want to cash in on him. Decisions on senior players going out on loan will be made later in the window. That is really interesting. So I guess it's a profile thing. Like, I don't know, because Dario Basugo is much closer to Moises Caicedo than Andrey Santos is. And if Chelsea are looking to keep Romeo Lavia, that probably says that's the kind of player that we want in that spot. I really like Andrey Santos. He is very versatile. He's played the 6 really well when he's been asked to at times. He plays a number 8 pretty well, and I think he might have even played the number 10 a few times, but that's not really where you want to see him. To loan him, I think would be a bit unusual because his stock will be relatively high at the moment as it is, and we only have so many international loan spots, right? So I'm not surprised he's not considered to be untouchable. He was in and out of the team. Like, he didn't get much of a chance under Maresca. Liam Rosenior gave him loads of opportunities when he came in originally, but then just absolutely dropped him. Callum McFarlane comes back in and gives him another couple of shots. I think there's worse players you could have. I think you'd have to spend a lot of money to get a player of Andrey Santos' quality, even as a backup at the moment. So to be honest, I'm not sure exactly how much sense this one makes to me. Dario Basugo, like I say, is definitely more in the mould of Moises Caicedo than Andrey Santos is. So if they're happy with Dario Basugo's rehabilitation from his injury, because he did miss a massive part of the season, then okay, it makes sense that he's the backup to Moises Caicedo. If Romeo Lavia is the other type of midfielder that they're looking for, that deep-lying distributor, that is not really what Andrey Santos is either. But the thing is, we're not looking at talking about bringing in midfielders, are we? Now, maybe that changes if Enzo Fernandez goes and we bring in a Chouameni in exchange or something like that. Then, yeah, okay, maybe there's a little bit more of that kind of thing going on. But the interesting thing I think about this is not even necessarily about the Andrey Santos thing. It's about the decisions on senior players going out on loan will be made later in the window. And that has been bundled in with this sort of conversation about Andrey Santos. So they obviously rate him enough that they're like, we don't want to sell him. Yeah, no, I think Andrey Santos would be like a 30-40 mil player. Like, I think so. You know, you got to think potential's so important. Although he's not been called up for the World Cup, he was getting called up into the Brazil squad leading up to it as well. I think he's kind of been done dirty by Chelsea's manager rotation at the end of the day. Like, you know, like I say, Enzo Maresca just didn't play him at all. Callum McFarlane liked him, and Liam Rosenior really liked him at the beginning. And he was actually, per SofaScore, our 8th best player of the season in terms of ratings. So he's clearly like, of the players that we've got in the entire team, not even just the midfield, he's clearly got something there. So I just find this a bit of a weird one. Loaning Andrey Santos again feels like a bit of a strange one to me. I feel like he's not going to raise his value that much if he goes out on loan and has another good season or a similar season somewhere. But it just is what it is. This is the news that we're getting. So for me, Andrey Santos, I'm kind of indifferent. Like, if we sold him, I would not be devastated, but it would be a shame. If we loaned him, I think that would be a little bit weird, depending on how many loan spots we've got available. And if we kept him, I'd be relatively happy with that because I think he'd make a good backup player. So let me know what you think about Andrey Santos in the comments, guys. And that is it. Woo! We're going to wrap that video up there. This is so much, but this is it now. It is June officially. Transfer news is coming out of the wazoo. We are going to see us start to be linked with players a lot more soon as well. But let me know what you think about everything that we've gone through today. There is so much. The Marc Cucurella situation, three clubs in Spain apparently interested in him. The Josh Acheampong news, apparently he's staying. I think that's great, but let me know what you think. We've again been linked with Morgan Rogers, and apparently he is one of 10 players that Chelsea are looking at on their wish list. Romeo Lavia apparently set to stay. I think that's really interesting. Marc Guiu could be loaned out. They don't want to sell him, but it is possible. Enzo Fernandez wanted by Jose Mourinho at Real Madrid. Like, again, I can just really see them two getting on really well. Ibrahima Konate, we've made a gentle inquiry for. I didn't see that one happening. I think the wages are too much. Tyrique George looks like he could be sold, and that one makes sense to me. And Andrey Santos as well. Kind of a weird situation with Andrey Santos. So guys, that is it. We're going to wrap the video up there, but thank you very much for sticking around until the end if you did. I will catch up with you all very soon. Take it easy. Peace.